Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. So far, I've been your host, Zero Yeti, and let's get into it with the first thing of the week being Ogocephalus darwini. Better known as the red-lipped batfish or Galapagos batfish, it is a fish of unusual morphology found around the Galapagos Islands and off the coast of Ecuador, at depths of around 10 to 250 feet, or 3 to 76 meters. Red-lipped batfish are primarily benthic-dwelling animals and often walk along the seafloor utilizing highly adapted pectoral, pelvic, and anal fins. These fish are ambush predators which can camouflage by changing its body color to blend in with the sand or rocks on the ocean floor. They have specialized sensory organs known as ampullae of Lorenzini that can detect weak electrical fields. On the top of the batfish's head, there's a special body part that extends downward called an ilium. And at the top of the ilium is an esca, which is an organ that produces bright light. The batfish uses this as a lure to attract prey, such as smaller fishes, crustaceans, mollusks, and worms. Reaching up to 16 inches or 40 centimeters in length, the red-lipped batfish sports a wide and flat disc shape, which is made up of the head and body as far as the axilla of the pelvic fins. The forward edge of the disc is made up of the extended bones of the operculum, sweeping backwards from the cranium and surrounding the trunk on either side. Its body color is typically light brown and a grayish color on the back, with white countershading on the underside. On the top side of the batfish, there is usually a dark brown stripe starting at the head and going down the back to the tail. The snout and horn of the red-lipped batfish is typically brownish in color, and as the name of the fish suggests, the batfish has bright, almost fluorescent red lips. Mating may occur year-round, during which time a male red-lipped batfish will engage in the distinctive courtship dance, swaying their bodies and shaking their heads to attract females. Once a female is interested, the pair participates in a ritual dance and then mate. After mating, the female lays sticky eggs that adhere to the ocean floor. Males are responsible for guarding the eggs, fanning them with their fins to maintain oxygen flow and protect them from predators until they hatch. Under ideal conditions, a red-lipped batfish may live up to 12 years. Next up is Attacus atlas, better known as the Atlas moth. It is a large saturnid moth endemic to the Asian countries of China, India, Hong Kong, Nepal, Cambodia, Taiwan, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Laos, Vietnam, Brunei, Japan, and Indonesia. Here they inhabit tropical dry primary and secondary forests as well as shrublands. After hatching from minuscule eggs laid on the underside of leaves, these moths emerge as dusky green caterpillars, which then immediately get to work feasting upon the foliage of citrus, cinnamon, guava, and evergreen trees. For the next 6 to 12 weeks, these caterpillars put on size and mass, ultimately reaching up to 4.7 inches or 12 centimeters in length, and 1.2 inches or 3 centimeters thick. They have white, waxy, fleshy spines along their backs, which become more prominent as they grow. On the last abdominal segment, besides the prolegs, there is a large green spot surrounded by an orange ring. After reaching their maximum larval size, the insects pupate, spinning a long, papery silk cocoon interwoven with desiccated leaves and attach it to a twig or branch. In India, atlas moths are cultivated for their silk in a non-commercial capacity. Unlike the silk produced from the related domestic silk moth, atlas moth silk is secreted as broken strands and is therefore less desirable. This brown wool-like silk, known as phagara, is shorter and more durable than regular silk. After anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks, the adult atlas moths will emerge from their cocoon, and reaching upwards of 10 inches or 24.5 centimeters in wingspan, the atlas moth is one of the largest lepidopterans. The body is small compared to the wings, and the upper side of the wings is reddish-brown with a pattern of black, white, pink, and purple lines. Here they are triangular scaleless windows bordered in black on each of the four wings. The tips of both fore wings have prominent extensions that resemble the head of a snake. The resemblance is exaggerated by movements of the wings when the moth is confronted by potential predators. Adult atlas moths are weak, unsteady flyers, and to conserve energy, the moths rest during the day and fly at night. As they lack fully formed mouth parts, the adult cannot eat and subsists entirely on fat reserves accumulated during the larval stage. As a result, they live for 1 to 2 weeks, during which their sole objective is seeking out a mate. These moths find each other using potent pheromones, and after mating, a female atlas moth will lay up to 300 eggs on the underside of a series of leaves before passing away, thus completing its life cycle. Lestodon is an extinct genus of giant ground sloth which lived throughout South America during the Pliocene and Pleistocene epochs, some 5.3 million to 10,000 years ago. The first remains of Lestodon, consisting of parts of the upper and lower jaws with teeth, found in late Pleistocene deposits in what is currently the Buenos Aires province of Argentina, which were studied and described by French paleontologist Paul Gervais in 1855. Gervais named the animal Lestodon armatus, with the genus name meaning thief tooth, in reference to the large caniform teeth at the front of each jaw. In 1934, a second species called L. australis was erected by Lucas Kragljevich, but is now regarded as a junior synonym of L. armatus. Since then, remains of over 24 Lestodon individuals have been recovered, including some fairly complete skeletons. Reaching around 15 feet or 4.6 meters in length and up to 9,000 pounds or 4,100 kilograms in weight, Lestodon is the largest known mylodontid sloth and ranks amongst the largest known ground sloths, alongside the megatheres Megatherium and Eremotherium. The skull of Lestodon armatus has a very wide muzzle. At the front of their mouth were 2 pairs of tusk-like caniform teeth on the upper and lower jaws, which were separated from the moliform teeth by a large gap. The lower caniform teeth appear to exhibit sexual dimorphism in regard to size. In life, Lestodon is thought to have been a grazing bulk feeder that indiscriminately consumed large amounts of vegetation, using its probably square, white rhinoceros-like lips to pluck grass and other low-lying plants, in combination with a tongue. A bone bed of 13 Lestodon armatus individuals of different ages were found together at the Playa del Barco site in Argentina, which suggests that the species lived in somewhat close social groups. Next up is Ephrita kowaldi, better known as the blue-capped Ifrit. It is a species of small passerine bird in the monotypic family Ephritidae, native to the montane rainforests of New Guinea. They are a moderately social avian which often lives in small flocks of 4 to 6 individuals. They spend their days foraging carefully around mosses, branches, and tree trunks in search of food in the form of worms, insects, and in particular crocine beetles in the Melariidae family. They also occasionally eat fruit. The blue-capped Ifrit is one of the few poisonous birds, and they achieve this toxicity from eating the crocine beetles and then bioaccumulating batrachotoxin, or BTX, in their feathers and skin. The crocine beetles themselves get the batrachotoxin via the plants they eat. Batrachotoxin works by holding the sodium ion channels in muscles and nerve cells open, which can cause sneezing, allergic reactions, muscle paralysis, and potentially death in high enough doses. Due in large part to this poison, the blue-capped nfrit has few, if any, predators, reaching 6.3 to 7.1 inches or 16 to 18 centimeters in body length and around 1.3 ounces or 36 grams in weight. The blue-capped nfrit sports short wings, long legs, and a stout body, which has brown upper parts with finely dotted wing edges and light yellow underparts. The head is marked with a bright blue cap outlined in black, and a small black spot on the crown, as well as a long white stripe extending beside the eye. A thin black strip is within the stripe, and the eye itself is encircled by a yellow, narrow ring, which is also sometimes white. The species is sexual dimorphic, with the ear streak coloration being white in males and more yellow in females. Additionally, males have darker markings around the eyes and more vivid coloration on the head and neck. Females have paler markings around the eyes, and juveniles resemble females, but have a light brown forehead. Nesting occurs from August to November, and nests are built from green moss and leaf fern, and are usually placed 2 to 3 meters or 6.5 to 10 feet above the ground, often the fork of a small tree or sapling. Each clutch typically contains a single white egg with black and purple spots for camouflage. The egg is incubated by both parents for 18 days until hatching. Both parents continue to care for and raise the hatchling for several weeks until fledging. Under ideal conditions, a blue-capped nfrit is thought to live upwards of 10 years. Next up is Isurus paucus, better known as the long-finned mako shark. It is a species of mackerel shark in the family Lamidae, which is found throughout the temperate and tropical waters worldwide. This pelagic species typically dwells between 160 and 720 feet or 50 to 220 meters below the surface. Here they typically hunt squid, small schooling fish, and occasionally larger sport fish, such as tuna, mahi-mahi, sailfish, and swordfish. They are themselves eaten by killer whales and larger sharks, reaching up to 14 feet or 4.3 meters in length and 440 pounds or 200 kilograms in weight, with females being bigger than males. The long-finned mako is the larger of the two mako sharks, and the second largest species in its family after the great white. This species has a slim, fusiform shape with a long pointed snout and large eyes that lack the nictitating membranes or protective third eyelids. The teeth are large and knife-shaped, without serrations or secondary cusps, and the outermost teeth in the lower jaw protrude prominently from the mouth. The gill slits are long and extend onto the top of the head. As their name suggests, they have massive pectoral fins with nearly straight front margins and broad tips, which can be upwards of double the length of its short-finned cousins. The first dorsal fin is large with a rounded apex and is placed behind the pectoral fins. The second dorsal fins and anal fins are tiny. The caudal fin is crescent-shaped, with a small notch near the tip on the upper lobe. The body is bluish-gray to black above and light gray to white below. The long-finned mako sharks are slow swimmers that are slower than short-finned makos, but are better at longer distance travel. Reproduction in the species is aplacental viparous, meaning that embryos hatch from eggs inside the uterus. In the later stages of development, the unborn young are fed non-viable eggs by their mother. The mothers typically give birth to 2 to 8 pups, and under ideal conditions, a male long-finned mako shark will reach sexual maturity around 6.6 feet or 2 meters in length, and females around 8.2 feet or 2.5 meters. Both sexes may live up to 35 years. Next up is Latrodectus hesperus, better known as the western black widow spider or western widow. It is a venomous species of spider found in the western regions of North America, where it can be found in the southwestern regions of Canada from British Columbia to Manitoba. along the Pacific coast throughout Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas in the USA, and in Mexico. The spiders can typically be found in wooded areas as well as farmland and urban environments, particularly in abandoned buildings, garages, sheds, barns, pipes, drains, and sewers. Like most widow spiders, L. hesperus produces cobwebs. The western black widow frequently hangs upside down near the center of the web and waits for prey such as smaller spiders and insects, particularly beetles, weevils, ants, wasps, and bees, to enter the web and then get entangled before the spider attacks. It bites its victim, injecting it with venom, and then wraps it in silk to store and feed upon later. Western black widows, especially females, possess a potent venom containing the neurotoxin alatrotoxin, which is active against a range of organisms. In humans, the symptoms of this venom include pain, nausea, vomiting, goosebumps, and localized sweating. Historically, Western black widow bites resulted in the deaths in humans in roughly 12% of cases. However, since the invention of dedicated antivenom, human fatalities have dropped to near zero. Female Western black widows reach up to 0.5 inches or 16 millimeters in body length and are black in coloration, often with an hourglass-shaped red mark on the lower abdomen. This hourglass mark can be red, yellow, or in rare occasions white. The male of the species reaches around 0.25 inches or 6.4 millimeters and is generally a beige color with a lighter stripe on the abdomen. Males have an elongated body with large palps extending from the first segment. Males also have a distinctive hourglass shape underneath their abdomen, but it is typically orange or yellow instead of red. Immature spiders look drastically different from the adults, with a gray or light brown body and banding patterns on the hourglass shape of their abdomen usually darkens to become more defined as they mature. The female's consumption of the male after courtship, a cannibalistic and suicidal behavior observed in other widow species, is rare for Western black widows. Notably, skilled male Western widows may breed several times during their relatively short lifespans. These males will typically ensure the female is well fed prior to mating, and then strategically sever strands of the female's web to both limit her movement options and make clear escape routes. On initiating courting, the male L. hesperus will utilize its tarsi to tap the threads of the female's web, exploring and vibrating the web to communicate with the female. If she is not receptive, she will scare him off. If she is receptive, she too will vibrate the web in response. Mating can still be a dangerous affair, with many males ending up injured in the process. Females may lay up to 300 eggs in a single silk-covered egg sac. The mother spider protects the egg sac from predators and other spiders for up to 30 days until they hatch. Spiderlings stay near their mother for a short period of time before dispersing away via ballooning, wherein the young use strands of silk to float away. Under ideal conditions, a Western black widow may live upwards of 3 years. And next up, we have Ophiderpodon, an extinct genus of osteopod tetrapodomorphs, which lived throughout what is today North America and Europe during the early Carboniferous to early Permian, some 346 to 294 million years ago. The first known remains of Ophiderpodon, consisting of the partial skeleton, were named and described by Thomas Henry Huxley and Robert Etheridge in 1866 as Ophiderpodon etheridge, from the Greek ophis meaning snake and herpodon meaning creeper. The scientific name Etheridge is in reference to both Robert Etheridge and his son Robert Etheridge Jr. Since then, dozens of specimens of Ophiderpodon have been recovered from Ireland, the Czech Republic, and the United States. Today, an additional 6 species are considered valid. O. Browning ridgei, O. coronaing, O. kirktonensis, O. pecticanatum, O. Swiss helmus, and O. zyguranium. Reaching around 29 inches or 73 centimeters in total length, Ophiderpodon sported 230 vertebrae. Like other osteopods, Ophiderpodon was snake-like without any trace of limbs. The head would have sported large forward-facing eyes, suggesting a hunting lifestyle. It was probably a semi-aquatic animal that lived in burrows and fed upon insects, crustaceans, worms, millipedes, and snails. As always, take care to my guys, gals, non-binary pals. Hope you have a wonderful day.